Hello students, this is Lohita. We are here into NEET Zoology class. So today we are going to start with the first chapter in your NEET Biology, which comes under Zoology today. Okay, so students, the first chapter in the NEET Zoology, the NEET Biology particularly, we are going to learn regarding zoology. The first chapter that we are going to start today is the diversity of the living world. This is the first unit in your NEET syllabus, the diversity in the living world. So students, because this is the first unit, let us start with the basics today first. Okay. So students, you all are very familiar with the term biology, isn't it? So we all know what is biology, right? We all know what is biology. What is biology? Biology is the study of living forms and living organisms. Biology is the study of, it is the study of life forms and living organisms. Okay, biology is the study of living forms and living organisms. Biology is the study of living forms and living organisms. This we already know, right? So this biology is a very old branch of science, students. Okay, this is a very old branch of science. But in the early stages of biology, what happened is we have started to learn biology only in anthropogenic point of view. Okay, only in anthropogenic point of view we have started to learn regarding the living organisms. Only in anthropogenic point of views only we started to learn biology. Anthropogenic in the sense only in human point of view. Only in human point of view we started to learn regarding the living organisms. But because we are learning biology only in concern with the human beings, there was very less development in the field of biology. But later on, what happened? Even regarding systematics and monumental description of organisms started. Okay, later on in the later times, what happened? Using systematics and monumental description of the living organisms, we started to do. Okay, systematics in the sense we started to learn regarding the living organisms in relation to the other organisms. Okay, so because of systematics and monumental description of living organisms, there is identification. There is identification, nomenclature and classification of the living organisms was possible. Okay, so in the advanced stages, identification, nomenclature and classification of the living organisms was possible by studying the living organisms in relation to the other organisms. Okay students, so here now we are in the advanced stages of biology. So we have now had a very rapid, a very big shift in learning biology after knowing one thing. Okay, there has been a very rapid change, very rapid shift in learning biology after knowing one thing, that all the living organisms, they are connected with each other. All the living organisms, they are connected with each other either horizontally or vertically. Okay, living organisms, they are connected with each other either horizontally or vertically. The living organisms are connected with each other. Okay, so after this observation, one point has been made clear, that all the living organisms are related with each other. It could be the present organisms or the past living organisms. All the living organisms, they are connected with each other. Okay, after knowing this point, after knowing that the living organisms either horizontally or vertically they are connected with each other, after understanding this point, students, after understanding this point, the concern for the conservation of the living organisms has got increased. Okay, the concern for the conservation of the living organisms, it has got increased after knowing this one point, that we, the living organisms, the present ones and also the past ones, are connected with each other. Okay, so here in this unit, the diversity in the living world, we are going to learn regarding the different aspects related to living world. Okay, different aspects related to the living world, related to the living organisms. We are going to learn many concepts in this first unit, diversity in the living world. Okay students, so we will first start with the first chapter in diversity of living world in today's class. So we are going to start the first chapter, that is the living world. This is the first chapter in our first unit. In our first unit, diversity in the living world, for NEET, first chapter, diversity in the living world, the first chapter of the first unit in NEET, that is the living world, is what we are going to start in our today's class, students. So now let us learn regarding this first chapter. All this whatever I told is just because what is the need for learning biology is explained in this concept. Nothing much is needed, no big points are framed from this concept in NEET point of view, but still, because these are all the basic concepts, okay, these are the concepts which we all need to understand to learn the details of the concept. This is all just a basic, no big questions are asked from whatever we are learning here. Okay, this is just an introduction to the topic. Now we will move into the first chapter of the first unit, that is the living world. Okay. So students, let us start with this first chapter, that is the living world. See ma'am, we human beings are having a capacity of recognizing what is living and what is non-living, isn't it? We can clearly distinguish between what is living and what is non-living. And we also observe that there are a variety of living organisms, isn't it? There are a very large variety of living organisms. And do you people know that till now there are 1.7 to 1.8 million species of living organisms. They have been identified and described so far. Okay, 1.7 to 1.8 million species of living organisms, they have been identified and described so far. Okay, so we see living organisms in a variety of environments, isn't it? We see living organisms in the mountain regions, in the very cold polar regions also we can see living organisms. In the deep seas we can see living organisms. In the deciduous forest we can see living organisms. In a desert we can see living organisms, isn't it? So there are a wide variety of places, wide variety of living organisms are found on the earth. Okay, so and there are some interesting features of the living organisms also. So did you ever see a galloping horse? Yes. Did you ever see a whale capturing its prey? Yes. And the interaction between the molecules of a cell. These are all some kind of amazing characters, amazing features the living organisms exhibit. Okay, each living organism is so amazing in its own way. Okay, so by just observing all these things that we are finding living organisms everywhere, in the mountain regions, in the ice, in the deep waters, in the deserts, in the deciduous forest, everywhere there are living organisms, right? And they are exhibiting different kinds of features. Okay, there are some kind of different amazing features exhibited by living organisms. So by observing all these things, we will have a question, right? What is life? This is the question that we will be having, isn't it? What is life? And we will also have one more question, that what is the purpose of life? These are the two questions that will be arising in our minds, isn't it? What is life and what is the purpose of life? So here in our zoology class, we are not concerned with the second question, what is the purpose of life? We are not concerned. We are concerned with what is life. Okay. So now we will discuss what is life. Okay. Now we shall discuss what is life. Okay, ma'am. So if I ask you what is life, then what will you say, students? So the living life, it is a property of living organisms. Okay, life, it is a property of living organisms. All the living organisms will have life. So what are the characters of life then? Yes, this will be the second question, isn't it? What is life means? We say that life is a property of living organisms. Only living organisms will be having a life. This is what we say, right? Now, the second question is, what are the characters of life? How can you say that a particular thing is having life? Yes, that is what we are going to discuss now in this concept, what is life. We are going to discuss regarding the properties of life now. The characteristic features of life we are going to discuss now, students. Okay, ma'am? So, students, regarding what is life, we simply say that any living organisms, it will be exhibiting growth, it will reproduce, isn't it? Growth and reproducing, and it responds to stimuli. These are the simple common terms everybody uses to describe the life. Everybody uses to describe the living organisms. But not only these properties, growth, reproduction and responding to stimuli are not the only features of living organism, students. There are some more features related to the living organisms. Let us learn each of the features of living organisms in detail now. Okay, students. So, the first thing we are going to learn is, see ma'am, living organisms, they have cellular organization. Living organisms, they will be having a cellular organization. Okay ma'am, living organisms, they have cellular organization. That means all the living organisms are made up of cells. Okay, living organisms are having a cellular organization in the sense all living organisms are made up of cells. Okay, isn't it? All the living organisms will be made up of cells. And see students, and the cells of all the living organisms are similar. Okay, the cells of all the living organisms are similar. Okay, the cellular organelles, the properties of the cell, these are all similar in all the living organisms. And there are two types of cells existing in living organisms. Okay, there are how many types of cells existing in living organisms, students? There are two types of cells existing in living organisms, and they are, the first one is prokaryotic cells and the second one is eukaryotic cells. Okay, these are the two types of cells which are found in the living organism, students. They are prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Okay, so this is one of the features of living organisms. And the second feature of living organisms is they show ordered complexity. Okay, living organisms exhibit ordered complexity. Okay, it means that the living organisms, they exhibit hierarchical organization. Okay, they exhibit hierarchical organization. Okay, that means I'll just give you one flow chart and it makes it even more clear. So, living organisms exhibit ordered complexity. That means they exhibit hierarchical organization. So, see now, atoms make up molecules, isn't it? Atoms make up molecules. Molecules make up cell. Cells make up tissues. Tissues make up organs. organs make up organ systems. Organ systems make up organisms. And these organisms make up population. Population will make up community. Community makes up the ecosystem. Ecosystem will make the biosphere. Okay, students. So this is the ordered complexity which is found in the living organisms. In all the living organisms, this is occurring. Atoms make up molecules. Molecules make up cells. Cells make up tissues. Tissues make up organs. Organs make organ systems. Organ systems make organisms. Organisms make population. A population makes up a community. A community makes up an ecosystem. An ecosystem makes up a biosphere. So this biosphere, it means a lot, biosphere in the sense the entire living organisms on the earth is called as biosphere. Biosphere in the sense all the living organisms of the earth make up biosphere. Okay, students. So this is regarding the ordered complexity which is found in case of human beings. Okay. So this is also one of the properties of living organisms. Now let us learn regarding more features of living organisms, students. So the next feature we are going to learn now is that we are going to learn now is living organisms, they exhibit growth. Okay, living organisms, they exhibit growth. What is growth? Growth can be defined as increase in the mass or increase in number. Okay, growth can be defined as increase in mass or increase in number. Okay, ma? Growth can be defined as increase in mass or increase in number. Okay. So, the living organisms exhibit growth. When we come to animals, multicellular animals in particularly, multicellular animals. Okay. They exhibit growth only for certain age. Only up to a certain age they exhibit growth. Multicellular animals, they exhibit growth only up to limited age. Okay, up to a limited age they exhibit growth. Okay, but after that also growth occurs in the multicellular organisms, but that growth is to repair the lost cells. To repair the lost cells or to repair the damaged tissues, growth will occur in the multicellular organisms throughout the life. Okay, up to a limited age, multicellular organisms they exhibit growth, but repair will occur throughout the life. Repair of the cells or repair of the tissues, it will occur throughout the life of the living organisms. Okay, ma'am? So this is in case of multicellular animals. Coming to plants, plants grow throughout the life. Okay, they grow throughout the life. Plants exhibit growth. Plants exhibit growth throughout the life. Okay, and when coming to unicellular animals. Okay, unicellular animals, they exhibit growth by cell divisions. They exhibit growth by cell divisions. Okay, ma'am? So this is regarding the growth in multicellular animals, plants and unicellular animals. Unicellular animals, they exhibit growth by cell divisions. Okay, all the unicellular organisms, they exhibit growth by cell divisions only. Okay, ma'am? So this is regarding growth. And one more point to be noted over here is, students, this growth in the living organisms, it is occurring from inside. Okay, growth is occurring from inside. Growth is occurring due to cell divisions in all the living organisms. Growth is occurring due to multicellular animals up to a limited age, but after that repair of the tissues is occurring. In plants throughout the life, in unicellular organisms, cell by cell divisions, the growth is occurring, and growth is occurring because of the cell divisions. But students, not only living organisms, some kind of non-living things like mountains, sand, molds, they also exhibit growth. Some kind of non-living things like mountains, sand, molds also exhibit growth. They also exhibit growth. But we clearly know that they are not living. They are non-living. We clearly know that they are non-living, isn't it? So here we understand that non-living things also grow. A few non-living things also grow. But the difference is there in growth of living and non-living. The living organisms, they grow from inside. Living organisms, they grow from inside. Whereas the non-living organisms, growth is due to accumulation of the substances on the surface of the non-living things. Okay. Non-living things also exhibit growth, but the growth in the non-living things is due to accumulation of the substances on the surface of the non-living things. Okay. So here we understand that both the living are growing and non-living are growing. Then how can we say that growth is the defining property of life? No, we cannot say that growth is a defining property of life, because some non-living are also exhibiting growth. We cannot say that growth is a defining property of life. So we can say that growth is not a defining property of life, because some non-living things are also exhibiting growth. We cannot consider growth as a defining property of life. Okay, ma'am? So this is regarding the next feature of the living organisms, that is growth. Now let us learn one more feature of the living organisms. So students, the other feature of living organisms that we are learning now is reproduction. Okay, living organisms, they exhibit reproduction. We all know this. Living organisms, they exhibit reproduction. And this reproduction in living organisms, in the sense what? Reproduction in the sense what? Reproduction in the sense producing young ones of their kind is called as reproduction. We are all familiar, right? What is reproduction? Reproduction in the sense producing young ones or producing offsprings of their kind is called as reproduction. Okay, producing young ones or offsprings of their kind. Producing young ones or offsprings of their kind is called as reproduction. Producing young ones or the offsprings of their kind is called as reproduction, students. Okay. So, living organisms exhibit reproduction. All living organisms, they exhibit reproduction. Okay. Living organisms, they exhibit reproduction. This reproduction is due to different ways. Okay. But most of the reproduction is sexual reproduction only. Most of the reproduction is sexual reproduction only. Okay. So during sexual reproduction, what happens? Formation of gametes will occur and the fusion of gametes occurs. Zygote will be forming and that will develop into a new individual. Right. That is sexual reproduction, where there is the formation of gametes. Okay. What is sexual reproduction? During sexual reproduction, formation of gametes occurs and these gametes fuse together and result in the formation of a new young individual. So that is sexual reproduction. Okay, ma'am. And reproduction also occurs in the lower animals, mostly by asexual reproduction, and in some organisms, in some even more lower living organisms, reproduction also occurs by vegetative methods or due to regenerations. Okay, ma'am. So it may occur due to asexual reproduction may occur, and reproduction can be also vegetative. Vegetative reproduction can also occur in the living organisms. Let us take some examples of the asexual reproduction. If you take fungi, for example, fungi, they produce many millions of asexual sexual spores for reproducing. Okay, if you take lower animals like hydra and yeast, they reproduce by budding, which is a type of vegetative reproduction. Okay, if you take planarians as an example, planarians, they exhibit true regeneration. Planarians, they exhibit true regeneration. Planarians, they exhibit true regeneration, and in planarians, reproduction is due to fragmentation. Planarians, reproduction is due to fragmentation. Okay, ma'am. So in this way, there are different organisms exhibiting different kinds of reproduction. Okay. When we come to unicellular organisms like bacteria, when we learn regarding unicellular organisms like bacteria or unicellular algae or unicellular algae or fungi. So unicellular organisms like unicellular bacteria, algae or unicellular fungi. So what happens in them? Reproduction and growth are synonymous. Okay, synonymous. Bacteria and algae, fungi, which are unicellular animals, unicellular organisms like bacteria, algae and fungi. In them, growth and reproduction are synonymous. Listen to me carefully, students. Bacteria and algae and unicellular fungi, in all these organisms, growth and reproduction are synonymous. Growth and reproduction are synonymous. Okay, growth and reproduction are synonymous in the sense growth and reproduction are same in them. Okay, so what is growth? We have already learned. Growth is also increase in mass or increase in number. But because these animals are these organisms are unicellular, we see that there is increase in number of these organisms. So increase in number can be also a growth. And they are also reproducing. They are producing young ones of their kind. So it is reproduction. So there is a confusion still remaining to describe if the reproduction occurring in bacteria, unicellular algae and unicellular fungi, if it could be called as growth or if it can be called as reproduction. There is still confusion existing. Okay, students. So because of this kind of confusion occurring in case of unicellular organisms, the reproduction, it does not include, it is not inclusively said as a characteristic feature of living organisms. It is not inclusively considered as a characteristic feature of living organisms. I'll let you know what it is also. Okay, it is not inclusively characteristic of living organisms. Okay, that means because this kind of organisms, they are having some confusion between if they are growing or if they are reproducing. Okay, and there is also one more example, students, regarding some living organisms which are unable to reproduce. Like you can give the example of worker bees, okay, mules and some sterile human couples. Okay, these are the other organisms which are not able to reproduce. Worker bees, mules, sterile human couples. So, but still they are living, right? They are still living, but they are not able to reproduce. Because of these reasons, we cannot say that reproduction is the inclusive property of living organisms. That means this property of living organisms, it does not include, it is not an inclusive property of living organisms. It means that it is not including all the living organisms. Okay, this property is not including all the living organisms. Okay, students. So with this we finish to learn regarding what is reproduction. Now let us learn regarding the next feature, next characteristic feature of the living organisms. of living organisms is metabolism. Okay, students, do you know that we are having different kinds of chemicals in our body? All the living organisms are made up of chemicals only. There are a variety of chemicals in the bodies of living organisms. Okay, there are a variety of chemicals present in the bodies of living organisms. Okay, variety of chemicals which are different in their forms or structures. Okay, there are a variety of chemicals which differ in their forms and structures. Okay, so but still these different chemicals they combine together and form different kinds of chemical compounds. Formation of different chemical compounds and converting them into some other kind of metabolic products. Okay, some other kind of biomolecules is done. Okay, so these chemicals are utilized for the formation of different biomolecules. They form different biomolecules and which are converted into different types also. Okay, so there are different chemicals in our body which are used for the formation of different biomolecules. That means different submolecules in our body, and also they are converted into different intermediate products also. That means in our body there are a lot of chemicals, and these chemicals are involved in different chemical reactions in our body. Okay, there are a lot of chemical reactions occurring in our body. Okay ma, so these chemical reactions which are occurring in our body are called as metabolic reactions. They are called as metabolic reactions. Okay ma, so the chemical reactions which are occurring in the bodies of living organisms are called as metabolic reactions. Okay ma, the chemical reactions occurring in the bodies of living organisms are called as metabolic reactions. Okay students, the chemical reactions occurring in the bodies of living organisms is called metabolic reactions. And the sum of all the chemical reactions occurring in the bodies of living organisms is called as metabolism. Okay, what is metabolism students? Sum of all the chemical reactions. Sum of all the chemical reactions which occur in the bodies of living organisms. Occurring in living organisms is called as metabolism. Okay, this is called as metabolism. All the living organisms are made up of chemicals. In all the living organisms, chemical reactions will be occurring. That means all the living organisms they exhibit metabolism. So we can now say that metabolism is the defining property of living organisms. Okay, we can say that metabolism is the defining property of living organisms. Okay, metabolism is the defining property of living organisms. All living organisms they exhibit metabolism. All living organisms they exhibit metabolism. So metabolism is the defining property of living organisms. Okay students. And one thing students, we can also perform the metabolic reactions in vitro. Okay, in vitro. In the sense in the lab. In vitro in the sense in the laboratories. In the laboratories also these metabolic reactions can be performed. Okay, by utilizing the starting materials involved for the reaction, we can conduct the metabolic reactions in vitro also. Then can we say that particular reaction is observed in vitro, it is a non-living reaction? No. Okay, metabolic reactions they can be conducted in vitro also. That means out of the bodies of living organisms also the metabolic reactions can be performed. Okay, but we cannot say that reactions to be non-living reactions. Okay, we have to say that they are all living reactions. Okay, they are all living reactions. Okay, which generally occur in the bodies of living organisms. And They are the defining properties of living organisms. Metabolism is a property of living organisms. Though some of the metabolic reactions can be carried in the laboratories, that is in vitro, we cannot consider it as a non-living reaction because they are the reactions which generally occur in the living organisms. We call them as the living reactions only. Okay, ma'am? So this is regarding metabolism. We consider metabolism as a defining property of living organisms. Okay, so now we have found one of the defining properties of living organisms. What did we learn? We have learned regarding the cellular organization, complexity of organization of the body. Then we have learned regarding growth, reproduction and metabolism. Okay, and out of all these, only one thing we have learned as defining property of living organisms, that is metabolism. Metabolism is the defining property of living organisms, students. Okay. Now let us learn even more regarding the features of living organisms. We have some more features to learn regarding the living organisms. Let us see what they are also. Okay. So students, the next property of living organisms, the next property we are learning is all the living organisms, they have a sense of recognizing their environment. Okay, all the living organisms, they have a sense of recognizing their environment and respond to the different stimuli also. Okay, ma? Living organisms, they can respond to stimuli. Okay, so living organisms, they can respond to stimuli. First they sense the environment. And then they respond to the different types of stimuli. Okay, first they sense the environment and then they respond to the different types of stimuli. The stimuli can be physical or chemical or biological stimuli. The stimuli can be physical, chemical or biological stimuli. Okay, so how do they sense the environment? We human beings, we use our sense organs for sensing the environment, isn't it? We use our sense organs for sensing the environment. In that way, different organisms, they have different ways by which they sense the environment and they respond to the environment. For example, plants, they can respond to the factors like water, temperature and light, isn't it? Plants can respond to the factors like water, temperature and light. In the same way, some other organisms require photoperiodism. Some other animals, they sense the photoperiodism, especially for breeding in plants and some animals also. Photoperiodism is important. Photoperiodism in the sense, the amount of daylight is called photoperiodism. The amount of daylight is called photoperiodism. It is also playing an important role in the breeding of plants and animals. That means these plants and animals are responding to the light. These plants and animals are responding to light. Okay, ma'am? So living organisms, they are able to respond to the stimuli. And one more thing, ma, all the living organisms, they are very much familiar to their environment. Okay, they are familiar to their environment and they have a consciousness on their body. Okay, they have a consciousness on their body. So that kind of consciousness on their own body, that is self-consciousness, is also another defining property of living organisms. Okay, ma'am? Self-consciousness is another defining property of living organisms. Self-consciousness is also a defining property of living organisms. Okay, that means they are aware of their bodies. They are aware of their environment. That is called self-consciousness. It is a defining property of living organisms, students. Okay. So then one more thing is living organisms, they are self-regulative. They are self-regulative in the sense they exhibit homeostasis, students. The living organisms, they exhibit homeostasis. Okay, it means that the living organisms, they exhibit homeostasis. Homeostasis in the sense the living organisms, they maintain a constant internal environment. Okay, homeostasis means maintenance of a constant internal environment irrespective of the surroundings. Irrespective of the surroundings. Okay, living organisms, they can perform homeostasis. That means they can maintain a constant internal environment irrespective of the surroundings. That means because they have self-consciousness only, they are self-regulative. But self-regulative means they maintain homeostasis. They maintain a constant internal environment irrespective of the outside environment. That means the bodies of the organisms, it will always remain constant from inside. However is the outside environment. From inside, they will have a constant internal environment. Okay. So if it is raining outside, if it is very cool outside, or if it is very hot outside, whatever is the temperature outside, our body's temperature, it will be always same. No, isn't it? So that kind of a feature is called as homeostasis. Living organisms, they exhibit homeostasis. Okay, that means they are self-regulative. Okay, ma'am. Then let us learn next features. And one more thing, ma, there is one point we added here is, see students, there are some patients who are brain dead. Yes, there are some patients who are brain dead. That means who are gone into coma. They don't have any senses, isn't it? They don't have any senses. They don't respond to the environment. Okay, but still they are living, or if they are not living is a question. It's a confusion, because the heart and lung functions of the brain dead people is done by the machines which are connected to the body. So we cannot still say that if the person is living or if he is dead, we cannot say. Okay, so this is just a point which has to be added. A question which is like a dilemma. If the person is in coma or brain dead, if he is living or if he is not living is still a question. Okay, ma'am. So now let us learn regarding one more feature, that is evolution. Living organisms, they will evolve. Okay, living organisms, they will evolve. Evolve in the sense what? They are continuously changing. Living organisms are continuously changing. Okay. So this continuously, according to Charles Darwin's Origin of Species. Okay. According to Charles Darwin's book Origin of Species. This book explains that, Charles Darwin Origin of Species book, it explains that the living organisms, they continuously accumulate beneficial variations. Variations generally occur in the living organisms in order to survive in that particular environment. Avi edo oka environment lo untayi. Aa environment ki taggattuga they will develop variations. Okay. So now these variations, if they are beneficial, then the variations will be accumulated in the body, and if the variations are harmful, then the variations will be removed. Only beneficial variations will be accumulated in the bodies of living organisms, and that will result in the changes in the living organisms. Okay, only beneficial variations. Only beneficial variations are accumulated, and it results in the formation of new species also. It may result in new variety of organisms. Okay, ma? So this is regarding regarding evolution. Living organisms, they evolve. Okay. And the other feature of living organisms is aging and mortality. All the living organisms, they will be aging. This aging, in the sense, it is called as senescence. Senescence. Aging in the sense, senescence. Senescence in the sense, all the living organisms, they will be becoming old. No, all the living organisms, they become old. That is called as aging or senescence. Mortality means all the living organisms at some time or the other, they have to die. That is called as mortality, death. Living organisms will be having death. This is another property of living organisms, students. Okay. So here we can simply say that the living organisms are, from all the observations we have made till now, okay, what did we observe? Living organisms are exhibiting cellular organization, complexity of organization in the body, they are exhibiting growth, they are able to reproduce, right? Living organisms exhibit metabolism, living organisms, they are able to respond to the stimuli, they are self-conscious, they are evolving continuously, they are aging and dying, isn't it? These are all the properties of features of living organisms we have learnt. From all the observations that we have made till now, we can see that the living organisms are self-replicating, self-regulating, continuously evolving, self-replicating, self-regulating, continuously evolving, interactive organisms. Okay, they are self-replicating, self-regulating, continuously evolving, interactive, conscious organisms. We can even add conscious organisms. Conscious organisms. Okay, so this is how we can simply define living organisms. They are self-replicating, self-regulating, continuously evolving, interactive, conscious organisms. Okay. So students, in this class, one last point regarding living organisms is, see, we have already studied regarding cells, tissues and all. No, I'll just write a flow chart and explain you the last concept of today's class. In one statement, we can say that the properties of living organisms are due to interactions. The properties of all the living organisms are due to interactions. Okay, the properties of the living organisms are due to interactions. Okay, ma'am. See, due to the interactions of the molecules of a cell only, the property of the cell will be exhibited, isn't it? Due to the interactions between the molecules of the cell, the property of the cell will be exhibited, isn't it? Due to the interactions between the cells, due to the interactions between cells, the properties of a tissue will be exhibited, isn't it? Due to the interaction between, I'll just write between, okay? Due to interaction between tissues only, the property of an organ will be exhibited. Due to the interactions between the organs only, the property of an organ system will be exhibited. Okay, students, organ systems interact and they give the property of the organism. Okay, and organisms, they interact and they are going to give the properties of a population. The properties of the population are going to together contribute to the property of a community. Okay, so in that way, the properties of the different levels of the living organisms is due to interactions only. Okay, so here we have learned that molecules of the cell are interacting and giving out the property of a cell. Interaction between the cells is giving out the property of a tissue. The interactions between the tissues is giving the property of an organ. Between the organs, there is interaction giving the property of organ systems. Organ systems are interacting, giving the property of organism. Organisms are interacting and giving the property of a population. Populations are interacting and giving the property of a community. In that way, there are different properties of the living or different features of the living organisms are also dependent on the interactions between the living organisms. Okay, so living organisms, they exhibit interaction. Okay, students. So this is all what we have learned regarding what is life. So now it is clear what are the properties of life, what are the defining features and what are not the defining features, what are the inclusive features of living organisms we have learnt in today's class. So this is regarding the first topic of first chapter, students. Okay, the living world is our first chapter of first unit. In that first chapter we finished learning regarding the first topic in today's class, and the next topic we will learn in our tomorrow's class, students. So this is all for today, students. Thank you all for joining the class and listening to the class. If you like the class, then please if you follow me, if you like the class, then please click on the like button, and if you have anything to ask or say, please comment below. Okay, thank you students for joining the class.